On this episode of The Rugged Homestead, I'm returning to the furnace vent damper motor. If you recall from a couple of months ago on the video I did, the motor was stuck or was sticking in certain spots. You could manually turn it. It would catch the gears and the damper vent would open up. But it kept catching, so you had to keep coming down and doing that manually. There is a switch on there to put it into the open mode, which keeps it open, and that's only good as a temporary solution because that makes the furnace very inefficient. So I said I was going to revisit it when the weather warmed up, just in case I screwed things up. And now it's warmer, it's mid-June, so I'm going to revisit the motor and let's see if we can find out what's wrong and maybe fix it. All right, the first thing we'll do is we'll remove this cover. It's held in with 3 clips back here, so if you just press in and press in there, whoops, sorry, and press up there, the lid pops off. There we go. And so what we're going to do now is remove this screw here and this screw, where is it, there, down there, and that will allow this assembly to move off, and we'll be able to see what exactly is going on, which is probably with this motor right there. Okay, so this is what the back of it looks like, and that of course is where the shaft goes into the piece. So we need to see what's going on in that piece right there, because that's where it seems where maybe even in here, because there's probably gears in here. This clip had been over the top and we just popped it off. It hooked onto this little tab right here, and there's one on the other side, so it just popped it off. So what we'll do now is we'll remove this screw and this screw, and I'm going to disconnect this wire here just to make it easier to work. There we go, move that out of the way. And now take the screws off, try not to lose them. And we'll pull this up. Okay, so now I'm going to see what this does. This looks like it should come right out. And it does. I don't see that anything moves in here. So I'm guessing this whole thing slides in some fashion, turning, which in turn turns this. So I'm going to take off this clip too, and then we'll be able to look at this a little bit more closely. All right, so we've got the motor disassembled. Let's go take a look at this. All right, on further inspection, this is held in with rivets all along here. So doesn't appear to be a way to get this to just pop off. Otherwise, this black case should just come right off. This gray case should come right off. But I don't see that that's going to be possible. So with a little playing, I found out the piece that fits on top here, it's actually pried up. It's not, you know, bolted in or whatever, and it just slides right in. Now I was moving the teeth around using this screwdriver to grab on, And I don't see any broken teeth anywhere in here. So I'm not quite sure why the gear was slipping then. But this fit in here like that. And then this fit on top through that hole and then down. And then, as I said, I just used the screwdriver and I pried it up. And was surprised that it actually lifted up and came off. And then I was able to take this out. And this is a magnet, it feels like. Yeah, it's magnetic. So I see no obvious problems with this. But of course that doesn't mean, as I said, there's not something broken down in here. Well, after looking at the part and not seeing any obvious problems with it, I think I'm just going to try and order a new part. I looked online, and a whole new motor is like $80, $90, and I thought I'd be able to get just the motor, the gear motor, for a couple of bucks, particularly out of China, but I couldn't find one, and I wasn't quite sure what I needed, so I found one at a place called supplyhouse.com. I've used them before with some other HVAC projects I've done around the house, and their service is great. I contacted them, their customer service, make sure that the motor that they showed is the exact one that I need, and they said it is. So it's $30, a little bit more than I want to pay, but it's better than $90 for the, or more, for the whole motor. So I'm going to order it. It's overnight shipping. It's pretty cheap, only $5. And so the whole thing's going to come to about $37 total. And so I'll have it tomorrow. So I'm going to place the order, and then we'll come back tomorrow when it comes in, and we'll see if we can fix it. So it's the next day, and the new motor has arrived. Gotta say it, I got this from Supply House, and I have no problems giving them a plug here. These guys have been great. I highly recommend them for your HVAC needs. So let's open this up and get the motor back together. So this is the product we're getting, and when I spoke with their customer service with their chatbot, they said it's the exact one I need. So looks pretty close. It's a little bit bulkier, let's say, to the original, but I don't think that should impact it at all. The only other thing is that these are wire ends, and this has connectors on them, so you're going to need some flat connector to attach to this wire. So that's what I'm going to do now. I have a couple, and I'm going to put them in. And just to compare the shaft, the shafts look pretty similar. This base here, this bearing, seems a little bit larger, about twice the size. Oh, yeah, if I can turn it in, about twice the size. So we'll actually have to see if that plays a role. I don't have any that come with that same plastic sheath over it, but I don't think that'll be a problem. So we'll slide the wire in and now crimp it down. Okay, that's on there pretty good. So we'll do this one too. Let's go see if we can reattach this. Okay, so we have to reattach this piece to the shaft here. And there's a flat edge on here, which would correspond with the flat edge here. So that slides in like that. It does seem like it sits up, well, obviously it's going to sit up a little bit higher from here. So let's see if that has any bearing on here, which it's going to have to. So this sits down here. Yep, it actually fits on there. Interesting. All right, so now we just have to take the 2 screws that we took out and reinstall them there. All right, well, that was certainly simple enough. Now, these wires, this one, okay, what I had to do was take the screws off of here and swing this out of the way so that I could get to the connector. So now we'll just screw it back down. All right. So now that it's back together again, I'm going to reattach it to the shaft here and screw it into the mounting bracket. Just like that. And that should be it. Just a matter of popping the cover back on top. Which, because this is a little bit bigger, may actually be a problem. It's close, but it's not fitting. So what I've done is I ended up drilling a hole in the cap. When I pressed the cap onto the housing here, the housing onto the motor, it actually left an impression in the bottom of the cap here, the housing cover. And so as you can see, it's actually off center. So what I did was I took a 1 3/4 inch Forstner bit and I drilled out the hole. And then while that was fine for this measurement right here, this little bump out on the back of the motor, it didn't make it around here, this larger ring. So what I did was, using a spindle sander on my drill press, I opened up the hole a little bit. So now this should fit over the top of everything here. There we go. So now it's back on. Obviously, this is not optimal. It's going to allow dust and things to get in there. What I'm going to do is actually run a bead of silicone caulk all around here. I don't typically have to get into this housing here, and so I'm not concerned about it, so long as I can still reach that switch over here to move between manual and auto. I'm fine. So I'm going to put as I said, a bead of silicone caulk around here just to fill up this small gap, and that way it'll stop anything from getting in. And if I do need to take this cover off again in the future, I can just use a razor blade and cut away the silicone, and that won't be a problem. So I won't be able to see actually if this is going to work right now, since it is the summer, early summer, late spring. And the weather here is pretty darn warm. I don't think the furnace is going to kick on anyway. So I'm going to go on the assumption that it does work and just wait till the fall to see if there's any issues with it. So that's how you'd go about repairing that motor housing. I would have preferred a slightly better solution than that, and a slightly cheaper one. I would have hoped I could have gotten in to see the gears a little bit better on the old one to see what might have been causing the problem there. And the gear motor was a little bit more expensive than I had anticipated it being. I tried to actually find some from China because I'm sure that's where this ends up coming from anyway. But I couldn't find anything, and I wanted to make sure I got something that worked with the furnace. Now, unfortunately, although Supply House did say this is the one that I need, and it does fit and all that, fits to a certain extent. I mean, maybe there's a better, another housing cover you can get that'd be a little bit deeper to make up that about, what, 1/4 inch of the thicker motor. So anyway, I'm pretty sure this is going to work. So if you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you'd already do so. And ring that alarm bell, and that way you'll be notified right away when videos like this are posted. And check us out on Facebook, where I regularly update on how I'm turning my suburban home into a homestead. Okay, thanks for watching.